For those of you who don't know me, my name is Claire Illingworth, so I work in the People Development Department at CTEC. So historically at CTEC, we've always delivered the old employment-related services qualifications. We then moved on to also deliver the employability services qualifications when they got updated. Not only did we deliver it internally to our own staff, but we also did some work to deliver it to our supply chain as well, to make sure that they were getting the skills and knowledge that they needed for their contract delivery that we were supporting, working with them on. So the qualifications are due to be renewed this month, and I know Scott is working on a separate working group to help look at and review and renew those. However, it was coming at a good opportunity with the old frameworks, so the old qualifications that underpin the apprenticeship framework. For those of you who may be aware of the massive change in apprenticeships that's happened over the last year or two, the frameworks will be expiring in 2020. So as a sort of an employer within that sector, we were really concerned at CTEC about how we could actually spend our levy effectively. We didn't want to just spend it on customer service or business admin for our staff. We wanted something that was really fit for purpose. So with the frameworks expiring, it's a really good opportunity for us to look at that old framework and think, what can we do to improve it and build upon it and put it in line with these new standards, and really sort of capitalise on being able to spend our levy on something productive, as I said. So that's sort of the reason why CTEC became involved really with developing that standard. So in this presentation, I'm just going to sort of share with you the story so far and the journey that we've been on as an employer group that went on to form and develop this standard, where we are so far and what point we've reached and when we're sort of going to be ready for delivery. So this slide really just sort of highlights the changes in apprenticeships, and as I mentioned previously, with the frameworks being phased out by 2020, it's a really good opportunity for us to develop a new apprenticeship standard which could really help to raise the standard of the profession that we all work within. So we've therefore gone on to develop a level 4 employability practitioner standard, it's called. So an employability practitioner is anyone who works with individuals, whether we call them service users, customers, clients, learners. Everybody seems to use a slightly different word, but we all mean the same thing. So it works with those individuals who are really distanced furthest from the labour market, really helping them to address and overcome any obstacles to securing suitable and sustainable employment. So these individuals might specialise in working with a specific group of service users, such as those maybe with mental health conditions, or maybe those with disabilities or homelessness, whatever that might look like. But overall, what they will do is work with individuals to devise strategies to address and overcome all those really complex and multiple barriers that they might be facing that's preventing them from either being more employable or getting into work or securing training or qualification, whatever that might look like for them. And the idea being with employability practitioners that they really work to improve their employability prospects, with the end goal being to either find employment or to progress in work if they're already employed. So that's what the standard is designed for, those individuals, and that we purposely kept it quite broad because we didn't want to limit the types of organisations that might want to be able to use the standard for various different ways. And it's been really interesting as an employer group, the types of employers have actually come to us and have expressed an interest. Organisations that we wouldn't ordinarily have thought that we would work with or would fall within sort of the employability industry umbrella. So some of the core elements that really underpinned the standard and our vision as an employer group of all of us that came together to try and drive it forward was firstly, as I've already mentioned, to fill that void that's going to be left by the old frameworks, making sure that we've got something in place ready for delivery when that old framework does expire. Another element that we were able to do, which has worked really well for us, is by looking at the content and making sure it's relevant not just for now, but also for the future. So giving our frontline employees not just the knowledge, skills, behaviours that they need now, but the knowledge, skills and behaviours that they're going to need in the future too. And I think this is really important in the changing political landscape in which we operate, where there's a lot of devolution going on, a lot of situations where we've got hello and welcome Also situations where we've got two sort of normally quite separate sectors coming together, such as work and health, and also other forms of local multi-agency and integrated approaches to contract delivery. So in order to future-proof that, we've incorporated elements into the standard that make sure we are really giving them the skills that they need to work in that kind of environment that's really changed from where we were, say, a few years ago. Another element that we were really passionate about when developing the standard was actually further professionalising what we already do. So when a lot of people, when we talk to our colleagues, when we network within this sector, a lot of us tend to say how we fell into working within employability or in employment services, rather than it being an active career choice or path. So all of the great work that the individuals do within our sector around changing lives, if you think of the sort of professional status of medical professionals in a health sector, in care, in social work, the sort of level of professionalism that is held within those, we wanted to raise the standard of employability on that in that same way. So that really helps to build on the great work that the IEP have done to professionalise individuals, but also make sure on top of that and it sort of builds on the work of the IEP and the ERS qualifications that I mentioned previously. Another element as well is about creating transferable skills and bringing more sectors together and allowing more freedom of movement. So one of the elements that we took into consideration when developing the standard is providing more freedom of movement across similar sectors. So essentially what we do, we work with a caseload, we create behaviour change to get a different outcome, to try and support that person to achieve certain goals. And when you look at it from that broad perspective, you realise that the types of skills, behaviours and knowledge needed to do those is very similar to maybe working across other types of caseload management roles, such as working within social work, youth work, care work, etc. So what we wanted to do is actually be able to create more movement between different public services that are delivered by providing a standard that has a lot of transferable elements to these other areas in which people in our sector are likely to want to work within. As I've mentioned, about making sure it's just